got a great service planned for you. And Lorri Gifford is our speaker. Yay, Lorri, so glad you're here. Lori's a dear friend and a longtime member of our Power of Love community. She's a leader in our community, a teacher in our community, and we treasure her wisdom, her insight, and her beautiful heart. And I am grateful to be here. I'm just looking for something that I cannot find. All right. Angela, you are praying today, is that right?
No, Brian is praying today. Brian
Oh,
Crawford.
great. Okay, how wonderful. That's a treat and a treasure. Nice to see you, Brian. Is it snowing there in Boston?
No, no, it's a little cold, probably a little below seasonal or whatever, but yeah, no snow yet anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I heard the whole Northeast is getting hit, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. Bodhi's looking at me. Is this the point where I get some treats? So, yes, it is. It is that point. All right. Well, let's see. We are ready to go here. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian so you can give us a prayer.
Okay. We place our hand on our hearts, taking a deep breath of love and gratitude. We are grateful and thankful to join together in this service. We are grateful and thankful for Jennifer, who continues to be willing to share her knowledge and wisdom with so many. We are grateful and thankful for Lorri and John and their willingness to share with us through their wisdom through their talks and music. We offer up any negative or false beliefs, any fear-based thought patterns, place them all on the altar and just let them disappear into the light. And we declare our willingness to accept that the healing has already occurred. We declare our willingness to remember that we are one with the light, one with God, one with each other and all of life. And we share this knowing with everyone, knowing that we are all one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Brian. That was beautiful. All right. So we have John Silver's back again doing the music, one of our favorites. So glad you're here, John. Yay. John is someone I've known probably for a good 20 years from the Agape community. He's an award-winning singer-songwriter. He's an actor and a keynote speaker, lives in LA with his family. He comes from a musical family. He is related to the members of the popular 1970s R&B group The Silvers. Growing up, John was highly influenced by the music of popular singer-songwriters of the 1970s, such as Jim Croce, Cat Stevens, James Taylor, Carole King, and Paul Simon. John's parents, an interracial couple who married in the late 1950s, were human rights activists. In the 1960s, his father, Arthur Silvers, worked closely with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to help bring about meaningful social change. In honor of his multiracial heritage, John has dubbed his musical style mixed folk, and his own social activism can be found in the lyrics of many of his songs. John's music is uplifting, thoughtful, and evocative. His intention as an artist is to inspire unity and to be a catalyst for the experience of the highest vibration of love. And we're so glad you're here today with us, John.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Is this the time that you'd like me to sing?
Yes.
Okay, then I will. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Can you hear my guitar okay? Okay. Every morning when I get out of bed, I get to choose what I keep in my head. What kind of thoughts I'm gonna think of today. What kind of things I'm gonna let myself say. I'm I'm so grateful that I get to choose. I can even be happy when I'm singing the blues. That's right. Let me tell you what I do when I feel a little bit down. I choose love. I choose joy. I choose peace over being annoyed. I choose faith. Faith over fear. I choose happiness over tears. I get to choose how life is gonna be, so I'm choosing love, and love is choosing me. That's right. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I choose love, and love is choosing me. All right. I choose love, love is choosing me. All right. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I get to choose how life is gonna be, so I'm choosing love, and love is choosing me. Come on now. All right, usually I have my daughter sing this part, but she's not here, so I'll do it. You may be thinking that I'm out of my mind when I say love is all there is, all that there is. You may be thinking that I'm wasting your time when I tell you you can have your bliss. You may be thinking, what could he be thinking? What flavor Kool-Aid has he been drinking? You may be thinking that I don't understand. Say I tried everything, but nothing turned out as planned. But you never get it wrong and you never get it done. All you gotta do is have some fun, that's right. Ha! All you gotta do is have some fun. I choose love, I choose joy, I choose peace over being annoyed. I choose faith, faith over fear. I choose happiness over tears. I get to choose how life is gonna be, so I'm choosing love, and love is choosing me. Come on now, everybody. I choose love, and love is choosing me. Let me hear you sing. I choose love, and love is choosing me. All right. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I get to choose how life is gonna be, so I'm choosing love, and love is choosing me. One more time. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I choose love, and love is choosing me. All right. I choose love, and love is choosing me. All right. I choose love, and love is choosing me. I get to choose how life is gonna be. Said I get to choose how my life is gonna be. I get to choose how my life is gonna be. So I'm choosing love, and love is choosing me. Thank you very much.
That's so beautiful, John. Thank you so much. Always uplifting. My heart is beating faster in such a good way. And it's my pleasure to introduce my friend, Lorri Gifford. Lorri studied and worked at the Chopra Center as the spa director and lead educator. She taught meditation and yoga for more than 4 years there. And her book, 90 Days to Learning the Tarot, No Memorization Required, was published by Gifford Publishing in 2014. In 2016, she joined our Masterful Living classes and got involved in the Power of Love community, and she became a certified spiritual counselor through this ministry. As a spiritual counselor, she vows to love and serve whoever Spirit puts in front of her and to see the perfection in who they are. She does this by listening deeply and allowing Spirit to guide this session. She is a teacher and a leader in this ministry. She's spoken here several times before, and I'm so glad you're here today, Lorri. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, Brian, for the prayer. I was so happy to see that it was you that was praying. And John, thank you. I love that. I'm choosing love. And I love the laughs in between as you're singing. That energy has so much joy in it. So thank you. You know, I've been thinking a lot about prayer lately and how it continues to weave its way into my life. And last time I spoke at Sundays with Spirit, I talked about a prayer that I'm choosing to embody, the truly helpful prayer. Today, I'd like to speak about the power of prayer and true prayer. And man, it's so different than what I thought it was. I was introduced to prayer when I was in elementary school. And every Friday morning, a group of us would leave our classroom and we'd get in a station wagon with Mr. Z, and we'd drive to the nearby church for our religion class. And it was considered a rite of passage in that class when we learned about this thing called confession. And I remember that momentous day when the priest came into our class and we each took turns going into a booth to confess our sins. And when we were finished, we were told to say some combination of Hail Marys, Our Fathers. There was one other one to the Holy Spirit that I'm not recalling right now. But we were told to say those prayers and all would be well. Now, as a child, and as a result of this, I associated prayer with something that was used when I was bad, or I did something wrong, or because I was a sinner, this is what I must do. And then about 6 years ago, I joined the Masterful Living program with Jennifer, and prayer was reintroduced to me. And this form of prayer felt very, very different. We started by expressing our gratitudes, releasing our fears, reclaiming our divine qualities, and sharing the benefits and the energy of the prayer with all beings. And that felt right to me. I wasn't asking for anything. I was grateful for what was. I was willing to release what was standing in my way and claim what was already within me. And I knew that part of me knew that that was what true prayer was. And shortly after that, I experienced the power of prayer. And that is what I'd like to share with you today. And let me be honest, even though it felt right, I was still skeptical about prayer. And I had so many thoughts about it. I mean, wasn't I broken? Didn't I need to repent? Was it possible that prayer was not a form of punishment? Could this form of prayer really help me? You know, shortly after that, I came across an exercise in one of our workbooks from Masterful Living, and it's called The Divine Experiment. And I read the exercise and I answered the questions. And I was invited to say a prayer for 21 days about a situation in my life that I desired to see a shift in. Well, I decided to give it a try. But here's the thing. When I agreed to try, it wasn't a sure, great, okay, let's give this a shot. I believe in this kind of try. It was more like, all right, I'll do it. I'm going to prove to you you're wrong because I don't believe it could happen for me kind of try. And the situation that I chose to receive a miracle in was with my relationship with my brother. And at that time, my brother and I had that type of relationship where we would see each other on holidays and we would grin and bear it. We would tolerate each other. 5 minutes in the same room, and we would be full on in defense mode, both of us. And my thought was, if I could prove through prayer that I could shift this, I would believe this whole prayer thing. I'd believe it. And because I was new to prayer, I decided to use the prayer that was shared in the workbook. And I began saying that prayer every single day. And I thought about my brother. And to this day, I still use this prayer. The prayer goes like this. Bless this situation. May all concerned be blessed in all areas of their lives. May all conflict be resolved and only love revealed. I am one with all concerned, and I am grateful. May all beings benefit from this prayer, and so it is. Amen. So I started saying this prayer every morning. I started picturing my brother in my mind when I said this prayer. Less than a month later, I received a text from my brother. He was in town for business, and he invited me to dinner. It wasn't a holiday, no special occasion. He invited me to dinner. I continued saying the prayer every day. I continued picturing him. And I went to dinner and we had a great time. Our interactions became more frequent and the defensiveness was gone. When Hurricane Florence hit, my dog and I went to stay with him and his family. And the day before I was going to leave, he came into my room and he was on the floor playing with my dog. And I remember watching him and I realized that all I could see was that innocent, happy little boy in him, laughing and playing with my dog. And I looked at him and I told him that Cody and I were leaving the next day. We were going to head home. And he said that I was welcome to stay longer. And I thanked him and said, we've been here a month. Now that the roads are clear, I'd like to get back. And he looked at me and he looked surprised and he said, you've been here that long? And in that simple moment, I saw the power of prayer. Our relationship has continued to evolve. And now I feel comfortable reaching out to him to talk or text on an ordinary day, and he does the same. That simple exercise, the divine experiment, worked. It made me a believer in true prayer. And I say true because that is how this form of prayer feels to me. It's truly the real deal. And as Spirit would have it, I recently started reading the Song of Prayer. It's a supplement in A Course in Miracles. And lo and behold, section 1 is titled True Prayer. So I'd like to share some lines from that are meaningful to me. In paragraph 1, section 1 of True Prayer, it says, prayer is a way offered by the Holy Spirit to reach God. It is not merely a question or an entreaty. And then sentence 6, true prayer must avoid the pitfall of asking entreat. Ask rather to receive what is already given, to accept what is already there. You have been told to ask the Holy Spirit for the answer to any specific problem, and that you will receive a specific answer if such is your need. You have also been told that there is only one problem and one answer. Another line that I really like is, the secret of true prayer is to forget the things that you think you need. In prayer, you overlook your specific needs as you see them, and you let them go into God's hands. There, they become your gifts to Him. Prayer is a stepping aside, a letting go, a quiet time of listening and loving. Prayer is an offering, a giving up of yourself to be at one with love. There's nothing to ask because there is nothing left to want. That is what true prayer means to me. That prayer that I shared from our workbook, bless this situation. May all involved be blessed in all areas of their lives. May all conflict be resolved and only true love revealed. I am one with all concerned and I am grateful. May all beings benefit from this prayer. And so it is. Amen. It's claiming what we already are. It's exactly what section 1 in A Song of Prayer talks about. That's why it felt right to me. That's why it worked. And prayer continues to evolve for me. I notice more and more how I am very subtly, or how I might very subtly be asking for things. And I just remember the line, prayer is a stepping aside, a letting go, a quiet time of listening and loving. That just feels so good to me. That just feels so, it's like rest in God. That's exactly what it reminds me of from the Course. And that's the type of prayer that I used in this situation with my brother. That is what it supported me in doing. And here's the thing, looking back, I see that it wasn't my brother that changed. It was how I perceived him. I started to see him as that innocent little boy laughing on the floor with my dog. And I have carried that image with me ever since. And that prayer transformed something in me, not in him, in me. And now we have a relationship that is a 180 of what it once was. And I am so, so grateful for that. And the best part of getting that to share this story with all of you today is this. Today is my brother's 50th birthday. And he texted me earlier this week and invited me to join him next weekend for a low-key celebration with him. He invited me, and we're both looking forward to it. That is the power of prayer. Thank you for letting me share today.
Thank you, Lorri. Thank you so much. Very inspiring. Let's take this deep, deep message and let's go deep into our hearts with it. Prayer is, I absolutely know, the number one thing that shifted my willingness. And that shift of my willingness has brought all the spiritual growth and development that's followed it. So for me, prayer is a power tool. And there's no way that we can pray to receive our good, to be available for our good, to anchor our good, and complain and reject the good at the same time. So praying and putting much of our energy into prayer brings so much benefit, and I'm the living proof of it. So what I'm inviting you right now is to know that every thought we think has essentially the effect of prayer. That's what prayer is. Prayer is this thought that we're thinking, that we're holding up in our awareness as sacred. When we're in prayer, we're making time for our spiritual connection, and that profoundly undoes the belief in separation. Prayer is a miracle worker. So grateful and thankful to know how to pray effectively, to pray with power. So grateful to open our hearts and minds to the right use of our thought, our word. So grateful that our mind is the mind of God, and the thoughts that we hold in our mind are broadcast throughout the universe because we share this one mind. So in this awareness of the power of our thought, the power of our mind, that our mind is the mind of God, I'm inviting you to consider, are you willing to be prayerful about the shifts and changes you'd like to experience in your life? Are you willing to truly be prayerful? Not just wishing and hoping or wanting it and needing, craving, complaining, but really to be prayerful. And to be prayerful means to affirm the positive, to affirm that even if it doesn't seem like it's happening now, we can hold it in our mind, and then it is happening now. And the more closely we hold it in our mind, the faster we experience it in the world of effects. Because a positive thought of prayer is exponentially more powerful than any negative thought. Why? Because it's true. Our prayerful thoughts are the thoughts we think with God. the thoughts of love, the thoughts of peace, the thoughts of harmony and beauty and clarity. So grateful and so thankful to open ourselves to the unprecedented flow of wisdom. We're opening ourselves to it right now. This is our prayer right now. We're opening ourselves to the healing of our mind, which heals the body, which heals the family, which heals the workplace, which heals the world. We are grateful to anchor into perfect peace and perfect love, knowing that they are our inheritance and they are available to us at all times. So we're shifting our attention away from that which disturbs our peace to that which anchors our peace. We don't even have to know how to do it. Our job is simply to allow, to be willing. So we pray to be more willing. We pray to be more loving. We pray to be more interested in the truth and to value the truth. We pray to release any attachment, any interest in that which is false. We let it fall away. We let the attachments to the past dissolve and resolve permanently back to the root cause. We hold in our heart the answered prayer of more peace, more love, more joy. We don't have to know what it looks like, but in this moment, part of our prayer is to know what it feels like. So we're allowing ourselves to reverberate with more peace, more love, more joy. And then we become that living expression of resonance coupling. So the way that if you've got a piano and a guitar in the same room and you pluck either one of those strings, the other strings on the other instrument are going to start to vibrate with that same tone. So we are that instrument of God's infinite peace, love, and joy. And we are walking in the world as this living demonstration of resonance coupling. So that every room that we walk into, every building, every activity that we put our attention on becomes more peaceful, more joyful, more loving. Simply because we've placed our attention there. Simply because we've placed our awareness and our energy and our being right there. So I'm inviting you, what are the situations and circumstances of your life that you would like to shift? What is the spiritual quality that you can embrace and embody and broadcast and be that resonance coupling experiment? Where are you broadcasting the peace, the love, the joy? See it beaming out from your heart all around the world. Let every brother, every sister, every being be lifted and shifted because we came together in this way right here, right now. Broadcasting the peace, the love, and the joy. And we let it be. And so it is. Amen. 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 All right. Let's take this beautiful energy and hold it preciously while John gives us another song here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Life has its waves, but spirit never wavers. I place my faith in the love that we all share. Beneath those waves is a calm and gentle ocean, and I know my devotion will carry me there. I'm talking about God, and it seems sort of odd for someone like me who was raised in atheosity, but I have risen and grown to realize what I have always known, that life has its waves, but spirit never wavers. I place my faith in the love that we all share. Beneath those waves is a calm and gentle ocean, and I know my devotion will carry me there. I'm talking about the joy that I knew as a boy. It never went anywhere. It was I who was no longer there, but now I'm back and I've found that God is glad I've come around. Life has its waves, but spirit never wavers. I place my faith in the love that we all share. Beneath those waves is a calm and gentle ocean, and I know my devotion will carry me there. I'm talking about the joy that I knew as a boy. It never went anywhere. It was I who was no longer there, but now I'm back and I've found that joy is glad I've come around. Life has its waves, but spirit never wavers. I place my faith in the love that we all share. Beneath those waves is a calm and gentle ocean, and I know my devotion will carry me there. And I know my devotion will carry me there.
So gentle, so completely holding us and rocking us in that space, John. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. What a perfect way to lead us into our breakout. We're going to go into our small group breakout. And in the breakouts, you'll have a chance to discuss what is it that you would like to hold in prayer, and what does that mean for you to hold it in that willingness to have a breakthrough, a willingness to let go of the patterns of the past, and just energizing it in this one conversation. I'm guaranteeing you it's going to make a difference for you. So holding that positive view rather than what you don't want. What is it that you'd really like to experience? What is it you'd like to know and like to see? So, in our small group breakouts, you don't have to share if you don't feel like it. Listening is actually the most healing thing you can do. And I just ask that you please let everyone who would like to share have a chance to share. So, you self manage your groups, and we're going in there right now. Angela is our pilot, she's opening the rooms.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah. So, gosh, I've had so many powerful, prayerful experiences in my life, and definitely the prayers that we make about healing our relationships. When we're holding that prayer in an affirmative prayer way, John, I can't remember. You're an agape practitioner. Do you keep your license up?
Um, I thank you for saying that. I'm actually, my wife is a minister at Agape, but I am not a practitioner, other than in consciousness. I'm not,
You never were, huh?
I never was. I've
Oh,
always been one at heart, but never in license.
okay. For some reason, I have a memory of you dressed in white, and
Okay.
so maybe that's what
I
it
might have
is.
done that.
Yes, yes, I think so. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you know the power of prayer in your family. Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you like to share anything?
sure. It's interesting. My daughter just shared with me the other day that she's having some challenges with her roommate.
Mm,
That and my daughter has an apartment that she lives in while she's at school, and it's her first place, and it's very important to her. And she's such a beautiful, communicative person, and she'll bring up things that she feels are not being addressed, and things that she needs the roommate to kind of do, and it's become a little contentious, and she was kind of starting to get afraid that a roommate was going to be vindictive toward her, and she started going down this path of thinking this. And I can understand, based on some of the things that she shared with me, that she could go there and have that fear. And I just encouraged her to pray for this roommate, that this roommate of hers uh, is in fear, and that all of this person's actions are driven out of their fear. And if she could pray for this person to feel safe and to not be in fear, that rather than trying to change this person, pray for this person. And even if you're afraid that they're going to do something to you, pray for them. And so I don't know that I would have gone there. This last song, all these songs that I've sung today so far, and every song I've ever sung on here, I've written. And this one particularly says that, I'm talking about God, but it seems sort of odd for someone like me who was raised in atheosity. And I really was raised, not so much as an atheist, but as an agnostic. And I didn't even know that there was such a thing as an agnostic. So I just called myself an atheist. And I found out about agnosticism, and I said, okay, well, that's what my parents allowed me to do, is just kind of make up my own mind rather than tell me how to think about it. And so very much like Lorri, I looked at prayer as something that was linked to religion, which I had, and linked to, you pray for things when everything is falling apart and you've got no other hope, pray, pray. uh, and so, while I do believe that that's a good thing to do when everything's falling apart, I've, through being at Agape and here listening to you speak and everyone else, it's very clear to me that I can tap into that anytime, and that it'll always enhance and make my life more, put my life more in the direction of what I want to experience, and that it's up to me. I have a choice. I can either do it or not, but my experience is that if I do it, it always is a valuable thing in my life. And as you were saying about the guitar strings, it's all vibration. So obviously, if I vibrate on a high level of love, which is what prayer is, then then everything around me is going to, everything around me is going to tune itself to that, that level.
Well said.
Thank you for letting me share. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just,
No, no, you didn't interrupt me.
okay.
I, I'm complete. I'd love to hear what other people have to share.
How about you, Brian? You've been a prayerful person for a few years now within our community.
Yeah, yeah, no, I feel I've had some healing over the past couple years, um, and made some progress, and I've loved being joined with the community. I found it very healing, and so many wonderful people, and yeah, um, I still have things I'm working on, if you will, but I feel pretty good.
Were you raised with prayer?
I was raised very Catholic, and it it just seemed to, but it really seemed to be much more about the religion than really any practice of it. I mean, my family, we faithfully went to church every week, and I mean, I had to do the CCD like right through high school and what have you. But when it didn't really, so we would, it was more like, it seemed more as though everyone kind of went out of habit, I guess, or upbringing, as opposed to really, no one ever wanted to talk about God or truth or any of that. And when I look back on it, I really always had an interest in that, but never anywhere really to, I don't know, there was a part of it just seemed abnormal to me, I guess. And most people didn't really seem to want anything to do with that. And I
Mm-hmm.
seem to remember having kind of a strong desire to want to, but really didn't know where to go with it. And
Mm-hmm.
really didn't think, I guess a part of me believed that my Catholic upbringing was the truth. And, I never thought really to venture out of that, if you will. Um, so, and then I got to a point, like John said, I kind of became, I guess you could say, more atheistic, because I got to a point where it really didn't, I'm just, everything I heard, it's like, this just can't really be true. It doesn't really add up with what I see. And I was really atheistic and quite depressed at that time, because it kind of, I don't know. I remember one big turning point for me was when my father passed in 2004. My daughter was only like a year and a half. And I remember that was the closest I had ever lost anyone, like in the family, if you will. And at that time, it really, I realized how real death is, I guess you could say. And I remember having like fears that my daughter was going to die. And she was so, because I looked at it as such an end or whatever, and felt, very depressed. But then I seemed to have some kind of shift in 2005 and seemed to take more of an interest in life than I had ever had. And then early 2006 is when my journey, I guess you could say, began.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really been, I guess you could say, I've had a lot of downloading of truth and wisdom in those years. And then, you know, and then when I found A Course in Miracles and stuff, it really spoke to me deeply. And, I knew it was the truth, but I also knew, I learned very quickly that no one else or no one in my life really wants to hear any of this. So I kind of felt embarrassed, and I don't know, it just, because when I talk about like little different things, people just were like, what? And so it was, but yet I knew what I was receiving was true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, and then following your podcast many years, I decided to reach out in this community, and yeah, so.
And in the last few years, have you in the Masterful Living classes and what I share about prayer, have you used prayer in your life to shift things?
I always, to be honest with you, what I'm really trying to do more than ever now is just practice what Lorri was saying, the true prayer. What I believe it truly is, I know that there's one who knows my highest and best. So I'm really trying to always be at peace, no matter where I am or who I'm with or what I'm doing, and just trying to know that I'm just trying to like let everything be and just let things unfold. As they will. I don't have any more like fear like of the future or any of that. I just kind of, I kind of have a knowing that things are going to unfold for me as they will, I guess, or whatever. I try not to look too closely at that, because then, I try to avoid putting any expectations or anything on anything. I just try to know that, and I guess you could say I remain prayerful. Yeah. Yeah. I always try to look at any grievances and find out what they're about, if you will. And I oftentimes get an answer. And a lot of times, the answer is very different than maybe what I think it should be or whatever, but or that I guess you could say what my ego maybe thinks it should be. But yeah. So yeah, I guess I consider myself just a work in progress, just trying, but very committed. I do see, I guess you could say I see the ego thought system very clearly, and no, I don't want it. I know there's nothing about it that's ever going to ultimately work for me. So I'm really, I guess you could say, kind of committed to truth as much as I can, and just try to, try my best to do that.
Mm.
I even look at praying today as a healing, because, and I'm sure you heard it in my voice, I'm very nervous. I'm generally, because I'm such a, like, kind of probably much more of an introvert. So kind of, speaking out to me is very uncomfortable, but I also look at that as a healing opportunity,
Indeed, indeed. I do know that about you. Thank you for stepping up today. It's nice to see you.
Great to see all of you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Lorri, would you like to share anything more?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I just, one of the things that caught me in your song, John, was life has its waves and spirit won't waver. And that was I loved that line. So I'm going to be checking out your music, and I'm going to be getting myself some. So thank you for the gift that you offer the world. And, Brian, when you were talking about how what I heard you saying in your share is that you focus on connection. That's what it sounded like you were saying. You focus on the connection and accepting what is. And then as you're guided, you feel called to do certain things. And one of the shifts I'm seeing with myself in regards to prayer is that I will stop and I will step back into that field of awakened awareness. I'll make that attempt to do that as I'm feeling stressed. And then just that simple act will show me how to express the gratitude, what it is I'm truly looking to release. And I've been doing divine experiments all along. I keep using and reusing that tool, and it becomes even more and more organic. The words get shifted and changed in those prayers as if I'm willing to step back and connect, like Brian was talking about. If I step back into that peace, when I do that, I can hear, oh, you know what? Your fear is this. And then when I get that clarity, that's when I can completely offer it over and express gratitude that I have been shown what that actually is. So, prayer keeps evolving for me, and it is absolutely not what I used to think it was. And even every day it changes a little bit more. And it is that conscious thought. It is, when you were guiding us through that meditation, it is that remembrance of, and one of the things you said once, Jennifer, that I think about often is, what altar am I praying at? Am I praying at and devoting my thoughts to the altar of fear, or to loving thoughts. And so it's made me appreciate prayer, and it's totally made me appreciate Ho'oponopono even more, because as I'm realizing those things and stepping back into that awareness, I can take my vacuum cleaner of Ho'oponopono in there and even get more connection and more clarity. All thoughts are prayers, and I just keep reminding myself of that. Getting better and better each day with it.
Aren't we all? Yes, indeed. Yeah, I really find that prayer is like a solvent, right? So in the course, Jesus tells us our task is not to seek for love, but to look within and find all the blocks to love that we've built against love. And so to me, prayer is that solvent of my attachment to what I don't like, or whatever the attachments are. It helps to dissolve and resolve my attachments, whether they're cravings or whether they're aversions. And that is the thing that I'm so grateful for with prayer. Because before I had prayer as a tool, all I had really was behavior modification, trying to control my impulses, trying to make myself not do something, not go into impulsive, compulsive, addictive behaviors and things like that. Whether it was negative thinking or whether it was self-medication, whatever it was, I was constantly trying to keep myself from doing something that I felt compelled to do. And so prayer really helped to dissolve those attachments to those patterns of behavior and thinking in a very miraculous way. And when I think of prayer, like I wrote in my spiritual espresso today about prayer, and I one of my favorite quotes, I think it's from the 50 Miracle Principles, where Jesus says, prayer is the medium of miracles. So if we think of the medium as being like the soil that the seed is planted in, so prayer is the medium of miracles. It's that fertile ground for miracles to unfold. And good gosh almighty, that has been the truth of my life. My life, when I started to pray, that's when everything really began to change for me. And I'm just so grateful. And that's why I love, love, love empowering people to use prayer and to transform what seems so difficult and so painful. It can be transformed by the power of prayer. Because when we go into prayer, we are saying, I am part of this infinite field of love of God. I am not on my own anymore. It is a very powerful tool to undo our deep entrenchment in separation. Angela, we have a little bit of time left. Can you share anything?
Yeah, I'll try. I feel like you just covered so much and a lot is stirred in my mind. But yeah, thank you, Lorri, for being here. I love how you're evolving, like your physical presence is evolving, and the way you look is evolving. It's so awesome. Just I know it's part of your evolution of as us all. I'll just share that I was listening to a podcast yesterday it was more about nutrition, and it was about gut health, and it was about a study where they watched 5 people eat an exclusive way, exclusively for 5 days this way, and then they ate exclusively this way. And it was like in 5 days, they saw results and evidence. And I think about it with this, because if we're mentally digesting our thoughts, it's like if you go this way for 5 days and then you pray about it for 5 days, I feel like if there was a way to research this, they would be able to see a vibrational shift. And I just feel like that's like a cool parallel about thinking about that way of, oh yeah, I want to eat like pristinely. I'm like really working on it, but like, what am I, mentally digesting every day? What am I feeding myself? What am I allowing myself to be thinking? And I feel so grateful that recently with my father having some health challenges, I asked him if he was open to me writing a prayer, praying for him and writing a prayer for him that my mom and we could all say or hold. And I just did that yesterday. And my mom wrote back, and it's affirmative prayer. I've been taught by Jennifer. It's affirmative prayer. So it may be very different than my mother's Catholic upbringing, where we'd be beseeching and asking and hoping that the bad things won't happen, praying for the bad things not to happen versus tapping into,
Right.
affirming that we are spiritual beings, so all that we would ever need is here and now, and let's tap into that. Let's be with it. Let's energize it. Let's hold it for my father. And my mom wrote back, that is a powerful prayer. I don't know how my dad feels about it, but it was so funny. If I could have a recording of me like trying to explain to my dad, I want to pray for you, not because there's anything wrong and not because I'm in a prayer practitioner program, but ultimately meaning like, there's nothing wrong with you, Dad. I see nothing wrong with you. I just wish to almost like feed you the kindest food. I wish to think of you in the most high vibrational way. And so I'm just grateful for even that conversation, and even that we have a prayer that we're holding for my dad. And so that feels like a breakthrough and a miracle. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. How was the breakout? Was it good? Did you make some choices, some decisions about life, about love and empowerment through prayer? Yeah, good. Well, anything you'd like us to hold in prayer with you and for you, make that declaration, that affirmation into the chat, and then we will energize it with you. What a great opportunity to pop it right there in the chat. And we're going to make some announcements here. And then John's going to give us another song, and Brian's going to give us another prayer, and then we're out of here. So we're running early today, and some of the announcements that we have for the ministry are we just kicked off yesterday the first session, week 1 of the End My Self-Sabotage Challenge. That was something I definitely held in prayer. Can I please stop my addictive compulsive tendencies? Can I please release these habits? And I can honestly say that all of that did get released, and I'm extremely grateful not to be battling the self-sabotage and the self-medication anymore. Just that's gone, that's over, that's done. And I do attribute the healing to prayer, to self-forgiveness. So we have the self-sabotage challenge, the challenge to end self-sabotage. And week 1 has already happened, but you can register for free and get that week 1 for free. So, and then if you'd like to join us for the rest of it, there is a fee for that. But let me just say, you get so much, it's kind of crazy how much you get for that low fee. So we're putting the link in the chat in case you're interested in registering. Definitely make use of that week 1. People always say that week 1 is a mind blower. So go get your mind blown. And then I'm doing my prayer power classes. In a couple weeks, we're going to start, and that's where I teach you how to pray effectively using affirmative prayer. And we've definitely had extremely prayerful people, practitioners and ministers, take these classes and say that it really helped them to go deeper in their prayer. Many people have had life-changing, miraculous results through these prayerful tools. So if that's something you're interested in, come join me. We start mid-April. And we're putting that link in the chat too. And then in May is my Stop Playing Small retreat, online retreat. We did this twice in 2020, twice in 2021. People loved it so much. Bringing it back again this spring. It's a wonderful thing to do in the spring. Stop playing small and just leap into that summer energy, feeling more free than you ever have. It's a wonderful feeling. So come and join us if that's an issue for you. And anyone who does the Stop Playing Small retreat will get $500 off my Finding Freedom boot camp, so you can continue right on into the boot camp this summer and transform your life. So there you go. We don't transform your life, you do it, but we hold your hand, we hug you online and on the phone, and we're grateful for that opportunity. Also, last announcement I have here is that these Sunday services, we're so happy to offer them as a gift to the community, and your donations make it possible for us to tithe to our speakers, to our musicians, and to pay our staff to do all the pieces they need to do with the recordings and the artwork and the web pages and the live stream and all those different things. So your donations make it possible, and one easy way to make a donation is to sign up for the daily text messages, inspirational text messages, and you can sign up for free, or you can donate $1, or you can set up a recurring monthly donation, whatever you desire. And those are my announcements. John, do you have any announcements? People are asking how to get your music. And
Oh, thank you. I do have an announcement. I have recently started a career as a speaker, keynote speaker, and I'm doing actually something 1 hour from now at 2 p.m. and I'm going to put it in the chat right now. If anybody wants to join, you're welcome to. It's on Zoom. Let me see if I can. I'm not the most technologically advanced here, but I'm going to see.
oh, you muted yourself.
Thank you. See, I told you I'm not the most technologically advanced. Okay, I was trying to put it in the Zoom here. Let's see if I do that. There we go. So that's something that I'm doing at 2 p.m. today. I am speaking on the topic of finding common ground in a diverse world. So how we can come together and find ways to live together in more harmony. So there'll be music, there'll be stories from my life. It's about an hour long, and everyone here is totally welcome. If you would like, just go on at 2 o'clock to
Awesome.
that Zoom link.
That's 2 o'clock Pacific time, so that's the top of the hour. Top of the hour.
Top of the hour to you.
Yeah, top of the hour from now.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right.
And John, is there a place we can go to order music, your music?
There will be. I've been writing songs for 40 years and I haven't really publicized them much. They've just been played in circles like these, but I am in the process of making recordings and getting things available for people. So if you if you want, you can shoot me an email. I'll put my email address in the chat right now, and anybody who sends me an email, I'll make sure you get notification if I have something available.
Excellent. Very good.
One finger typer here, so. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we're ready for our closing song here, and then we'll have a prayer from Brian.
Okay, terrific. Here's my email if anyone would like to shoot me an email. Is that right? Yep. There you go. So I'm a little fuzzy here. I'm not quite sure why, but maybe I'll come into focus at some point.
You look fine to us.
Right. Okay. I'm looking a little fuzzy on my end here. All right. I'm just gonna. But I really appreciate everybody's listening. And here we are. This is a song I wrote called. Every song I've sung so far, and pretty much every song I ever sing is something I wrote. And this one is called "Falling Upward." I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm being lifted. I'm being gifted by the light. Something shifted, and now everything's alright. I'm no longer at the effect of circumstance. My faith is stronger, and my life is one big dance. Come on, dance. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm celebrating. The anticipating's through. No more waiting. Now I give my life to you. Love's the only thing that we can bring that heals everything. So I'm opening my heart and letting spirit do its thing. Yeah. I know the law of gravity, but it does not apply to me. Within the spirit I am free to fly as high as I can see. There's another law I know that keeps me in the overflow. It takes me where I wanna go. It's always yes and never no. Ha! No, never no. Never no. Ha! No, never no. That's right. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. It's so dramatic, the way that I have been set free from all the static that used to whirl inside of me. I am love, revealing universal positivity and expanding to the glory of my greatest yet to be. Falling upward, that's right. Said I'm falling upward. So cast away all doubt and fear. There's no direction left for you to steer. Your destination is very clear. Heaven is right now, and heaven is right here. That's right. Said I'm falling upward. I'm falling upward. Said I'm falling upward. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that one. Yes, that's it. We're falling upward. We are. Yes. No struggle no more. We just let ourselves fall upwards. So great, John. Thank you. All right, Brian, you're up. Pray us home, my brother.
Okay, if we want to place our hands on our hearts, taking a deep breath of love and gratitude, we are grateful and thankful for the healing that has taken place through the wisdom and the sharing and the music. May we always remember that we are one with the light, one with all of life, and just rest in this knowing as we let it lead us home to where we've always been and truly never left. And may we share this knowing with everyone because we are all one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much, Lorri, for your words of wisdom and inspiration. John, thank you for your inspiration. Your voice is a healing balm. And Brian, thank you for your prayers. Angela, thank you for your service. GJ, thank you behind the scenes. Much love to everybody. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Mwah.